Hello, this is Lynn from Madajan's Herbals, and tonight we're doing another meaty Monday rather than meatless Monday. Just looking for what we can do for inexpensive dinners. So right off the top, what I'm going to tell you is I went to the grocery store today in order to pick up the ingredients for dinner. And what we were going to make was a cheesy hamburger tortilla bake. But when I got to the grocery store, hamburger was $7.99 a pound. And so it was like, wow, that is ridiculous. And so I'm not paying $7.99 a pound for hamburger. What I am going to start doing is looking for roast beef cuts that are cheaper and on sale, and then I'm going to go ahead and grind my own hamburger. And what I will do is, I did this many years ago when hamburger was pretty expensive, and when I find some good cuts of roast beef for cheap prices, then we'll do a wisdom from Gran on how to make hamburger. It is, so today we're going to instead have cheesy chicken tortilla bake. The grocery store had their rotisserie chickens on sale, 2 for $10, so for $5. If you go to Winco, if you go to Costco, or if you go to Walmart, that is the general price of the chickens, and you get a whole chicken for $5, and that's not a bad deal. It is going to take almost a whole chicken to make the bake in this particular pan. So, and this particular pan will probably feed about 3 people, unless you're my son who eats enough for 3 people, then it serves 2 people. So what we're going to do is, first of all, prepare the pan, and what I'm going to do is put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan, and then I use a paintbrush that I use it as a pastry brush, and I put it all over the bottom of the pan and up a little bit of the sides, because sometimes cheese makes a real big mess when it sticks. So there we go, that's done, and we're ready for the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the sauce first. It's less messy to do it that way, and I like less mess. So the first thing we're going to put in here is about half of an onion. Okay, so I've got this other half that I'm just going to put up right here, and we're going to dice this onion. I usually dice my things in a little bit bigger size than a lot of other people do. We've talked about that before. You can make it as big or as small as you like. Generally, I'm eating by myself, and so I don't have to hide vegetables in food. So we will just put that in. You can't, I don't know if you can see the bowl. I've got a nice pink bowl here that I'm putting all of the stuff for the sauce in. So the next thing I'm going to put in is some garlic. And the other thing that I don't do well is measure. So we're going to put in that much garlic. Now, we are going to put in some cream of chicken soup. And I will tell you, if you're doing beef, I used the cream of celery. Now when I went to the store to get this cream soup, a again, sticker shock. Cream of celery soup for a regular size can like this was $1.89. Youch. This creamy chicken soup, or cream of chicken soup, was $1.59, which is still ridiculous for a little tiny can of soup. If you are interested, I have a recipe for how to make your own cream soup. It is, what's kind of cool about it is that you can make a bunch of it with dried milk, and then as you need it, you can make it. I mean, you just add the water to make it. So and whatever the cream is. If it's cream of celery, you would put celery in it. If it's cream of mushroom, you'd put mushroom in it. If you're interested in that, put a note on the page here, and I will make sure that I get that recipe to you. So, I'm going to talk for a second about this kind of lid. I think, and I guess I don't have any facts to back this up, but the cans that you use that have regular lids that you need a can opener for, those I think last longer than these pop top lids. So if you're putting food aside, you know, buying in bulk, if you have the option of a regular lid that you need a can opener for, I would definitely go with that one. I think that ultimately you're going to be happier and you're going to have less loss if you do that. So now we had half an onion, and we've got a can of cream of chicken soup. We're going to put a can of Rotel tomatoes. Now those are tomatoes with diced green chilies. You can, if you're a canner, you can do this yourself by getting green chilies and tomatoes and put them in your own cans. Or you could simply, if you're not a tomato fan, you could just put the green chilies in. I'm a tomato fan. I like tomato a lot, and so we use it a lot. It is, I think in my lifetime, I've probably canned more jars of tomatoes than any other single fruit or vegetable. And I used to can a boatload. Okay, so now this can of Rotel is only 10 ounces. The can of soup is 14. Nope, it's 10 and a half ounces too. But I know generally the Rotel comes in a little bit bigger can. I have decided I like the smaller can because it's more to the amount that I'm going to use. So look at what you are, at the sizes that you use. Now we're going to put sour cream in. It is sour cream you're going to put in, again, about 10 ounces, about the same amount as the soup that you put in. Now because this is not new, I'm going to use this same spoon and I'm going to put all of it in. Now, I will tell you that I actually made this recipe, 3 or 4 days ago with the hamburger, and it was amazing. So I'm kind of excited to do the chicken, just to see if I like it better or not. But then I got to thinking, you could do ground sausage, you could do ground chicken, you could do ground turkey. I mean, you could do ground lamb. You could probably do any ground meat in here. And it is, or you could use leftover steak. If you have leftover steak, I've got some in my fridge right now. And, slice it up and put it on. And so this is just kind of a good way to use any kind of meat that you happen to have sitting around. So now I'm going to stir it. And then I'm going to set it aside. Okay. we're doing is we're going to take tortillas. Now these are flour tortillas. And I'm going to cut them into triangles. So, I'm going to cut the circle in half. These are my kitchen shears. I don't use this for anything but food. All right, and we're going to then cut them into triangles. Now, the fun thing about these tortillas is as you're cooking them, as you're cutting them, you can also make your own chips. Now I've got a square here, and so I'm just going to cut it on the diagonal. And then there's more, a little bit funnier shapes. And then we're going to put them all the way through. Now if you deep fry these, or if you get the corn kind of tortillas, you can make your own fresh chips. When I was a girl down in Southern California, we would go to Huntington Beach and Newport Beach, and would have, and they have little snack shops there, and they would make what they called taco strips. And what they did was they would just cut them into strips, deep fry them, and then they would give you salsa with them, and they would salt them, and it was pretty amazing. Now I will tell you that they used to cut these, they used to fry these in lard, and when I went back, not all that many years ago now, restaurants can't use lard anymore. It's not considered heart healthy, although it has a whole lot more nutrition in it than any of the oils, and they didn't taste the same. So, but if you are looking for some fun thing to do one night, making your own chips is kind of a good thing. So now we've got this, it's kind of cooled down for a couple of reasons. One is I opened it up to cool it down, and I went to the grocery store about an hour and a half ago. So we are going to take and bone this chicken, and we're going to put it on top of the tortillas. Now, dependent upon the kind of chicken and the spices that they use, you may want to take the skin off and just use the chicken meat and not the skin. It is. I'm not totally in love with I tasted the skin. This is the second time I've made this today, so that you'll see it already baked. It is, and I'm not totally in love with the spices that they put on here, so we're going to not use the skin. And that's where a lot of the fat is in the chicken anyway, so again, it's probably healthier for you to not do that. Now, what I am going to do is, after I bone this chicken, I'm going to make bone broth. Now, if you have never made bone broth, I will tell you, it is probably the easiest thing in the world to do. You take your bones and put them in a crock pot, and you put in, if you want to put in like some onions and some spices, or some garlic, and if you haven't figured this out yet, I like garlic, and so I use a lot of garlic. It is, so I put garlic in there, and then you put a couple of tablespoons of vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and that apple cider vinegar leaches the calcium out of the bones, and so you have an amazing chicken broth, as well as the taste, as well as the healthiness of it. So then you can take that broth and you can make anything that you would use chicken broth with. One of my guilty pleasures is top ramen. I just really love top ramen, and if you make it in a broth instead of water, it's just 100 times better. All right, so this is what we've got. Tortillas on the bottom, chicken on top. And then we're going to take the sauce that we made, and we're going to cover the top of it. So that if you're using ground meat, then it's going to take you a few minutes to brown that meat. This was already cooked, so we didn't have to cook it at all. And it's another one of those dinners, kind of like the spaghetti with green sauce, that ended up, it doesn't take very long to put it together. So if you're running late or you just don't feel like doing a whole lot of work, this is not a bad thing. Now we're going to take, I use the Mexican blend, and we're going to put cheese on top. And we're going to put just a little bit more cheese. Okay, now we are going to do one more layer. So we're back with the tortillas. For the 8x8 pans, one package of 10 tortillas will make just about 3 of these casseroles. Now, if it was an 11 count, then it would definitely make 3. So I'm going to have to actually pull out another package and put a little bit more. So I've got these little street tacos, and so we're going to have to use more than one of those. What I'm going to end up doing is just cutting these in quarters, and I've got 3 of them. Now I think that the full moon is actually on the 3rd. You might want to check that, though. Don't just assume that I'm right, because I'm not positive. And the 3rd will be Thursday. So we'll be doing the full moon release on Thursday, if indeed that's when the full moon is. And then we're going to, on Wednesday, the day before, what we're going to do is candle magic. So if you've ever made a wish and blown out a candle on your cake, then you have actually done candle magic already. But we're going to go a little bit deeper into it than that. So if you are interested in learning about candle magic, that's what we're doing on Wednesday. So this must be a little smaller than the other pan that I made, because we're going to actually have enough meat here off of this chicken to actually make another dinner. Okay. So one more round of sauce and cheese. And then what we're going to do is cover it with aluminum foil and bake it for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, so we're going to get the foil. And then we're going to go ahead and take it and put it in the oven downstairs. So, what we have this one I filled a little bit full, so the cheese kind of stuck to the foil. And so now that I've got it out, I'm going to take the small green onions, and I'm going to put some small green onions on top. And I'm going to put some sliced olives. And there we go, an amazing dinner. And I think we probably have only been at it for about 20 minutes. So 20 minutes putting it together, and then 20 minutes or 30 minutes to bake it. So thank you for joining me. If you are interested in the recipe for, I'll put this recipe online. If you want the recipe for bone broth or the recipe for the homemade cream soup, let me know and I'll ship those off to you as well. Thanks for joining me, and in the words of Julia Child, bon appetit.